My Supercoach team is going to be like Richmond this year, undefeated from round one onwards.
Okay, so welcome to my AFL Supercoach team reveal. So yeah, I've been working a lot on my Supercoach team in the past few days, and yeah, very excited not only for Supercoach to start, but for Richmond to prove how much better they are than Carlton. Yeah, because obviously Dusty Lynch Nankervis coming in tonight. So yeah, that should be good. Okay, so for the team, we'll start with the defense. So apart from Gibcus, Howes is probably the only defender rookie who I'm comfortable fielding, and Williams is the only mid-pricer I like. So I just decided to go with 4 primos in defense. So first off, Stewart. I can understand how some people may be a bit worried about him, as he scored just 74 in the preseason game, and we saw Holmes potentially taking a few points off him, because he was playing that role as like the halfback distributor instead of Stewart. But I think he was like Stewart was just taking it easy, and yeah, he only had 68% time on ground as well. And then plus he also presents value this year because he had an injury game in round one last year. Um, so yeah, I reckon Stewart's still a very good pick. Then we have Houston. So he looked good in the practice match, and he has a really good fixture. So I mean, you'll definitely get him cheaper at some point in the year because his scoring can be pretty variable sometimes. But I just think it's easier, especially with my 4 premium structure in defense, just to lock him in at the start of the year. Because yeah, I'm pretty confident that he should be in the top 6 for defenders. Um, Now we'll talk about Sheasel. Um, So I'm not super confident in this pick, but I don't think there are a heap of other like good premium defenders. I'll talk about Daicos later, obviously. But yeah, Whitfield was like the next best option, who was in and out of the side. But Sheasel, obviously, the fact that like he's pretty durable, at least so far in his career, and he doesn't have the early buy, is probably good enough for me to pick him. Also, it's only his second year, so I expect a bit of improvement. And yeah, he's playing halfback for North Melbourne. So even though obviously Fisher's there taking a few points, it's still a really good role. Um, so now on to Hayden Young. I don't think I need to say too much about him. He should be locked in for everyone, just because he's moving into the midfield this year. He looked good, scoring 2 goals and 3 behinds in the practice match, and yeah, was really definitely the best player for Fremantle. Um, and so yeah, he got the CBAs in that match, and that's why he played well. We also saw him get the CBAs for the last 4 games last year, and he averaged 116.3 in those last 4 games. So yeah, definitely lock him in. And then we have Zach Williams. So yeah, I was happy to see that he got through round zero with no injuries and scored a decent 73. So we've seen like in the past that like when he's not injured, he can average he should probably average about 90 if he doesn't get injured. So yeah, for 200k, that's definitely worth the risk. And then for the rookies, I really just picked the guys who are going to play. You could definitely go Gibcus instead of Phillips, but I just wanted to save a bit of money. Uh, so yeah, move to the midfield. Well, actually, before we move to the midfield, I'm going to talk about Daicos because I know he has 78% ownership. So yeah, I just really don't see the point of getting him because like you can just wait for him to get tagged by McGuinness in round 4, and then you can get him cheaper after the buy. So yeah, there's no reason to start him. And like there are also like a few other teams who could definitely tag him as well. I mean, he's not the worst option if you just want to hold him all year. Because like I would definitely agree that like he can probably like easily go 120 plus for average and be the best defender by a fair bit. Like especially because I reckon he'll get a bit more midfield time this year. Yeah, but for me, like, yeah, my structure just doesn't fit him in at the moment. And yeah, 78% ownership's kind of crazy for someone who's going to get tagged and then have the bye the week after. But yeah, whatever. We'll move on to the midfield. Butters, I'm a bit worried that he did his ankle in the practice match and then again in the preseason game. As I said with Houston though, Port have a really good early fixture, and especially with what we saw at the back end of last year, I don't want to miss out on Butters because yeah, he's definitely like a real talent and he could definitely go huge. Just like this guy can, Tom Green. So he obviously has a really good fixture as well, with North Melbourne and West Coast as his first two games. So yeah, he's going to be like my go-to captaincy option for the first two rounds. But then obviously he has a bye after that as well. But yeah, I reckon if all things go well, I'm prepared to hold him because yeah, I think yeah he's going to play pretty well this year. Now on to Jack Steele. So he averaged 122.5 in 2020, 126 in 2021, and he still got 109.8 in 2022 as well. So he's still just 28 years old, so yeah, I don't really see like a heap of reasons why he can't just like go back to doing like at least a 110 average. And yeah, I know that St Kilda do play a bit more of an outside game, which doesn't suit him as much. But for me, like a player of his class at 520k, yeah, I think just yeah too much value to pass up. And yeah, I'd be very surprised if he doesn't go 110 this year. Um, Nick Martin, I think everyone's got him. He racked up about 28 disposals and 11 marks in the practice match, and it looks like he's the man who Essendon wants to have the ball coming off halfback. I'm also expecting him to get DPP status and become a premium for us in defence as well. So yeah, he's definitely a player who you're going to want in your side. We then have Crouch. So I'm not really sure what happened with him from basically the start of 2021 to round 18 2023. Like, because obviously he used to be like one of the best players in the competition, and like then he started getting dropped all the time. But yeah, I'm pretty sure like he's back to his best now. And once he made his way back into the senior side in 2023, he averaged 108 from round 19 to 24. And yeah, that was only with 73% time on ground. And he also got 114 in the preseason match with just 59% time on ground. Yeah, so if things go well, I definitely think he could average 110. And yeah, since he's under 500k, like that's an absolute steal. Okay, so now onto Ollie Wines. He's priced at an average of just 83, which is because he didn't get as much midfield time last year. There has been news though that he should get more this year. Um, it's it's obviously a bit of a risk as we don't know that like he's absolutely going to get that midfield time, but based on his history, Wine should be able to easily average over 100, if not more. Yeah, if like the midfield time is actually going to happen. Yeah, so also he has an easy fixture, as I said, with Houston and Butters, and yeah, 130 in the practice match, I mean preseason match, was pretty good as well. Now on to Riley Bonner, maybe a surprise for a few people, but yeah, he just went huge in the practice match and then again in the preseason match, like with a halfback role. So yeah, for 300k, surely it's worth the risk, even if Sinclair is going to come back. So yeah. So now for the rookies. So I reckon Sanders, Roberts, and Clark, like are all absolute must-haves. Like they're all really good in the preseason. And then Jeremy Sharp is just there um, because I wanted to save a bit of money on the bench. I definitely think depending on what structure you have and if you have enough money, McCurch is definitely a good option because obviously he might get DPP um, and could like be in your defense. And then obviously I've missed Bond from this midfield, so he's owned by 50%, including like a few very good Supercoach YouTubers. So yeah, I think I should definitely talk about him. So for me, the price is just too much. I feel like last year was a bit of an outlier, and he'll just regress back to like closer to his normal level. Also, you have to remember his like apart from last year, he's never averaged 120 before, and I don't really know a heap about this, but I've heard that he scored a lot from stoppage last year, which apparently is pretty like unsustainable. So yeah, he could definitely have a drop off in that area. Okay, now for the Rucks. Uh, Gorn and Grundy, obviously, yeah, easy combination. You know. So we'll start with Gorn. He only got 72 in round zero. But yeah, I'm not really too concerned. He played well in the first half. And Grundy just got on top in the second. Um, Obviously he still scored a 185 in the preseason match against Carlton and averaged 132.5 when Grundy was out of the side last year. So yeah, definitely lock him in. I'm pretty sure he has like 49% ownership or something, so yeah, definitely deserves higher than that. And now Grundy, obviously with moving to Sydney, he's going to get that main ruck role again. And yeah, destroyed Gorn. He destroyed Gorn pretty convincingly in that round zero match. Um, so yeah, I think everyone knows like he's an absolute lock. And then on the bench, I have Livingston. I had Naismith in for a little bit, but yeah, I just can't see him getting a game with Nankervis in the side. Um, so yeah, I just decided to save a bit of cash for other areas in my team. And yeah, the Eagles play pretty late in round one, so yeah, he should be a good loophole option as well. Um, okay, so the player who I missed out in the rocks, probably Luke Jackson. I know he's not super highly owned, but I'll just talk about him anyway. So yeah, I think he went like 118-ish last year when Darcy wasn't in the side. So yeah, I definitely would recommend him as a pick. Like he's pretty good. But just for me, I don't really want to sideways trade him like when Darcy comes back in, because that's like gonna slow down my upgrade cadence. So yeah, but definitely not a bad pick. Like if you want to put him in your forward line as well, because Gordon and Grundy are pretty good. But yeah, just thought I would talk about him. Um, so for the forwards now, we have Heaney. So yeah, I can't believe I have this guy at F1. But yeah, the practice match was yeah very impressive, and yeah, he's just getting that midfield time. So yeah, he could really do anything. Um, so yeah, probably just have to get him in. Having said that though, I'm probably gonna trade him to Flanders just before his bye though, as when Parker, Adams, and Mills eventually come back into the side, I doubt he's gonna keep that midfield role. So yeah. So at F2 I have Fisher. So North Melbourne halfback available in the forward line for less than 400k. Also, I know he can be a little bit injury prone, but especially with the lack of options in the forward line this year, I think there's a genuine chance he could be a keeper. So yeah, definitely worth it for that price. And now James Harms. I did have James Jordan here, and like I definitely do prefer Jordan. But yeah, I was just short a little bit on cash, and I've had to get Harms. He does present a little bit of value at 250k, but yeah, certainly wouldn't have been my first pick, and the only reason I'm getting him really is just because like he fits in nicely at that price. But yeah, definitely not ideal, and I probably wouldn't recommend him like if you don't have to get him. And as for my rookies, Reed, Sexton, and Wilson, all absolute locks. Yeah, no reason you shouldn't have them in your side. And then I've gone cheap on the bench again. So I've got Cadman and Campbell. I'm not 100% sure on the job security of Campbell. Like if he throws in a couple of bad games, I can definitely see him getting dropped. Yeah, because obviously Richmond have like great depth and like we're the best and everything. But yeah, so I'm definitely considering swapping him for Newen. Um, Obviously, ex-Richmond player got traded to North Melbourne. Um, who's going to be playing a key defensive role. So yeah, definitely not the best like bench options for rookies in the forward line. Um, but yeah, this is the best I can do for the moment. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Remember to like, subscribe, and comment if you have like any suggestions on like how I could make my team better. Like I'm not gonna lie, probably won't follow them, but yeah, comment anyway.